People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you for watching and rocking each and every time. Your host with the most. Thank you very much for tuning in. It means the world, and I know I have an obsession with content, so it's not easy, but I've pre-Twitter and gone on social media and seen a couple of talking points. We might as well just speak about them. The first, before we go over the same tired subjects, we'll have two kind of relatively fresh ones. Now, apparently, should we fail to get Champions League, Tele-Football is that the French publication or is that the Telegraph? Let me check for you guys, people. Oh, it's the Telegraph. So it's to make of it what you want. The Telegraph have said if we fail to get Champions League football, our two strikers, Aubameyang and Lacazette, will look to move on. In which people, I know there's a lot of other themes this season we're speaking about. I wouldn't say I'm panicking, but the longer it goes on, it is quite scary, people. There is a genuine prospect that we could lose both with the current model. Now, I'm more confident in Aubameyang staying, people, and I'd be happy with that. I love Lacazette, but I mean, Aubameyang, you get a winger, you can use him for a couple of years until he falls off, and in that time, put money together and look for a striker to go elsewhere, people. And plus, it'd be the lesser of the two evils. Lacazette's a great player, but if one of them had to leave, as much as I love Lacazette, in terms of goal scoring and just having a 20 league goal striker, it's going to be Lacazette for me, because I do think I've got confidence in being able to rebuild the side more with Aubameyang than with Lacazette, because as great as Lacazette is, has he shown that he can lead the line and be that striker which, whatever you say, whether he's injured, playing on the flanks, on the bench, no general play, not playing to his strengths, the same things we say about Aubameyang, he's going to get 20 league goals. As much as I like Lacazette, I think he's got that in him to get that, but he hasn't shown it. So as a manager, it would be gambling a lot in it. But I want to keep both of them. Now, the longer it goes on is scary, and I'm referring to their contracts. I personally feel Aubameyang is more comfortable in London. He's slightly older than Lacazette. He's been made captain. He plays for Gabon, no disrespect, but they're not going to go to no World Cups and do anything major. So there's not really a push for ambitions on the international stage. He's comfortable in London. You see him chilling with troops, and he's a favourite player of the team. He fits in with the team and the London lifestyle and all of these sort of things. So he seems comfy. Obviously, if Madrid or one of these teams came at the time in his career, if they came for him, he's got to go, people. As much as I love him, he'd be a fool to stay at Arsenal, because these things only come once in a lifetime, definitely at his age now. So he'd have to go and do that for me, and wouldn't begrudge him or Lacazette to go and do that, people. I would want both of them to sign a new deal, but the longer their contracts are still up in air, who knows? You hear the club are in discussions with Aubameyang and Lacazette, but who knows until the things are signed. And especially with the current model of not allowing players to run down their deals, it would be suicide to do such. I mean, you could probably get a fairly healthy return if you sold Lacazette or Aubameyang, but then the bulk of them reserves are going to have to be spent replacing them. If you sell Aubameyang, we got him for 50, you got to sell him for 60, 70, which clubs shouldn't be, because he's on the wrong side of 30, as good as he is. You're going to have to spend that money, or near enough the same sum, to go and get a striker of equal or better standard, people. That's just how it goes. So I'd be really concerned if we lose both. On top of the obvious, we stand to lose 45 million from Champions League football if we don't get it this year. So we've got to get it, people. We really got to get it. And for me, for Lacazette and Aubameyang, they potentially could be at other clubs doing better things on the trophy front. For Lacazette, obviously, I don't think he's going to the Euros. I want him to. I would love, but Deschamps clearly don't rate him. Clearly got other people in mind, yeah. So potentially, if you're not playing in the Euros, you're not getting Champions League football. What's the point of leaving Lyon? He left Lyon to go and do better things. And can you say we're doing better things necessarily than Lyon at Arsenal currently? No. So if he's been linked with Barca in terms of replacing Suarez. Now, I don't think he'll replace Suarez. I think for Lacazette, he'll be a rotation squad player at best. But for me, it's still Barcelona. He's still going to win trophies. The same goes for any other club that he's been linked with. So it's a tough decision for both players to make, which hopefully doesn't end in both leaving or any of them leaving, because for years we've banged on about strikers and we've got them now. If we carry on from that now, people, apparently the 8-man shortlist that Arsenal had to replace Arsene Wenger last summer was Emery, Allegri, Arteta, Omri, Lopetegui, Ralph Rangnick, who's done quite good at Leipzig, I believe, George Sampaoli, former Chilean Seville boss, and Patrick Vieira. Now, looking back, if I put myself back in that time, I would have probably went with Allegri. I would have been interested to hear what Arteta had to say. But, I mean, Arteta's lack of experience did have some concerns, as good as he sounds. I probably would have inquired about Rangnick and Lopetegui, but obviously Sampaoli and Lopetegui haven't had the best of international jobs and the best of future, so people might not rate them as much, but I would have probably entertained that. The Telegraph has also said Emery will consult with members of his Arsenal squad over whether or not XHAKA should be captain. And there's another bit I want to add to that, people. It also says, that's on top of the Mail saying, there is understood to be a reluctance to strip XHAKA of the captaincy from within the technical staff, despite Emery admitting he was wrong to react in the way he did. However, if XHAKA decides he no longer wants the captaincy, sources claim Emery would accept this decision. People, I'm sorry, but that leaves bad blood. Sorry, and last part before I offer my opinions. There was hope within the corridors of power at the Emirates Stadium on Monday that XHAKA would say sorry for his actions on Sunday, but a public apology was not forthcoming last night, despite attempts from inside the club for XHAKA to break his silence. Now, that's what I said in my last vid now. The club have to get it right, people. The club have to either come out and condemn XHAKA and say it wasn't right and miss a couple games and all of these things, or XHAKA has to, because the longer silence from both sides, it's going to fall on the club. People know XHAKA. I wouldn't say he's a bad egg, but right now he's a bad egg. It says more about the club. This silence says more about the club than XHAKA now. You've got to make a statement. The fans are away. XHAKA, it's dangerous, people. What I don't want it to happen now is it becomes a thing because of this. Every game XHAKA plays, or every game Arsenal play that XHAKA is in a matchday squad, the game is dominated by them talking points. The game is dominated by XHAKA because it's not good. It's already the fan base is already toxic. The fan base already have a love-hate relationship with XHAKA. It's been made worse, and you don't want it to become the theme every game. There's boos and whatnot towards him, because the match is one thing. It's when you're warming up and things and all of these sort of stuff. And that's not good for any player mentally to be able to do what they want to do. It's toxic for the club and the fans. For me, I saw a tweet. Someone said you can't hold a second referendum on the captaincy. And it makes sense. Emery, you've got to grow up here, man, and just strip man of the captaincy. I get that you're consulting with your with your technical staff. But I heard also he's consulting with the players. And just what I've read there is saying basically it's in XHAKA's hands if he wants the captaincy or not. He's lost the captaincy. He went rightly or wrongly. He was right to react. There's no right or wrong. Fans and XHAKA are not clean, but they're not exactly dirty. He threw the captaincy at Aubameyang, his teammate. He done what he done. You've got to make a statement. I'm not saying his future here is done. It would be for me, but realistically, he is probably going to feature at some point again. But in terms of the captaincy, you've got to make a statement. I'm going to get onto it, but apparently there's concerns already within the side. What does this say? If you allow your captain, who on top of putting poor performances in, is allowed to react and behave like that and suffer no real repercussions beyond a public apology, potentially a fine, what does that tell young players? What does that tell fellow experienced individuals? What does that tell players whose contracts are potentially running down, where they're thinking, yo, is this the place I want to be? Do you get what I'm saying, people? I mean, Emery, you've got to grow up here. If you think he's done bad, you've got to get rid of him. Now, this is all paper talk, so it could all be worse, people. But it is what it is. I mean, if XHAKA no longer wants the captaincy, regardless of what's happened to him, then I have to question his mentality, people, really and truly, just as a footballer. I can't blame him because of the way he's been treated and whatnot if he does want to get rid of it, but I'd question your mentality. And it also doesn't get much better for Emery if you look at other reports. There is also a concern, this is from the Daily Mail now, there is also a concern among the squad that his tactics have severely stifled a team that was once famed for its creativity. Emery is having difficulties in totally convincing players of his methods. Sources claim there's often confusion from members of the playing staff over Emery's instructions on a day-to-day basis at training and during matches. And I must say, has he stopped the double sessions and training at the Emirates before we play, people? Because all of this sort of stuff was stuff that was gassing me at the start of his tenure. Now, if the players are having doubts, you've got to get them on board, because if you lose the majority of that squad, then it's curtains, people. It's curtains. And as for XHAKA, it is what it is. The Mail's also said, Emery's complete Emery's complete marginalisation of Mesut Ozil has been privately questioned by a contingent of players who believe the German still has qualities to offer in certain games, which is true. Hella time. I mean, Ozil, if he played at Sheffield United, he would have been coming deep and looked as clueless as everybody. But in terms of the skill set, Emery has got rid of players that you would, whether you like them or not, classed as creativity in the summer and marginalised Ozil. If you're going to do that, then we need to see what you're doing to kind of add creativity in the team or guard against that. So then if there was creativity in the team and we're playing well, with all due respect to Ozil, because I like him, but F Ozil, because there's not a leg to stand on. You've got rid of my man and now it's there. I personally think you've got to get Ozil and Sabas in some games for creativity, because any creative player, they're consistently dropping deep to get onto the ball. That's down to the tactics, to which brings me to the point. If they're questioning his tactics, questioning his use of players, he gets this captaincy wrong on top of the bad form and the obvious question marks already. It's not spelling great news for Emery people. And I want him to do well, I really do, but it's not looking great. It's also said, the Telegraph also claimed Emery's decision-making and muddled instructions have left a number of players confused, and splits have begun over the handling of Ozil, who has been frozen out, and 80 million signing Pepe, who's only scored once in the league since arriving. That's where I don't really agree with the Telegraph, because, I mean, how is Pepe causing any issues? It don't really make sense, really. But the players have got to question it, because we've got a lot to improve on at Arsenal, but the one problem that shouldn't be our issue is creativity, creating chances. That's the one thing that shouldn't be Arsenal's problem. You just look at the players in the side. You can't. I know Pepe's adapting, but Pepe, Laka, Aubameyang, just on names, that shouldn't be our issue. Our issue should be similar to Chelsea, where we can't keep a clean sheet to save our lives, but we're poor offensively beyond Aubameyang and scoring individual brilliance with other players. Defensively, we're a joke. And he's been here 15 months, and there's just no blueprint right now. And I don't believe a lot of this media talk, but you see these things coming out, and we've got to play Liverpool tomorrow, people. The cup isn't the important. It's almost the least important Arsenal-Liverpool fixture of this season, if I can say that. But it's Arsenal-Liverpool. We've got to be able to, in the worst-case scenario tomorrow, regardless of if he makes changes or not, a respectable loss. You've got to leave Liverpool with some face saved. You can't let, especially if Liverpool play their strongest team or a stronger team, which I think there'll be rotation, you can't leave getting battered 3-5-0, letting the Manes and the Salahs and the Firminos and the rest of them run riot, people, because it's just going to pile on even more pressure. It is what it is, though, man. I don't think there's anything more to add. So on that note, I'm going to get out of here. People, Deluded. Thank you for watching and rocking. Links to my socials are in the descriptions. Make sure you check out all my other content. Make sure you comment your own opinions. People, thank you for watching my stuff. It means the world. But for now, until we see each other again, bang, I'm out.